Hi boys and girls. Today's lesson is 4.3e, adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. And like means the same. So let's look at our notes first. It said adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. 3/5 plus 4/5. Well, when you look at 3/5 plus 4/5, the things that you need to think about are the fact that when the denominators are the same, like denominators, keep the same denominator. You don't add or subtract the denominator. You only do what's in the numerator. So let's look at this. So whole number minus a fraction, you change the whole number into an equivalent fraction with a like denominator. And then adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. For example, when I look at this one right here, 2/8 plus 5/8. Well, this is what I know. I'm going to line up the fractions, one on top of the other. So I've got 2/8 plus 5/8. So I'm lining them up one on top of the other, and then I'm going to add or subtract the numerator. Remember, the numerator is the number on top. So I'm going to bring down whatever the denominator was, and I'm going to add or subtract the numerator. So 2 plus 5, well, we know 2 plus 5 is what? It's 7. So 2/8 plus 5/8 would equal 7/8. And that's what you do. Pay attention to the sign. Sometimes it's a good idea to circle the sign so you don't forget exactly what you're looking at. So, and another way that you can write this out is you can put 2 plus 5 off to the side and 7, and remember to bring it down to the 7/8. So you keep the denominator the same, and you write your answer in simplest form. In other words, if your answer was 4/8, writing it in simplest form would take it down to the smallest fraction you can get it. Well, in this case, when I look at this, the multiples of 4 are 2, and the multiples of 8 are 2 and 4. Well, we know they have this in common, so we're going to reduce it down, and remember that's either multiply or divide. So we're going to divide this by 2. What you do in the numerator, you do in the denominator. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now, wait a minute. Is that in simplest form? No, it's not. Why? Because if I was going to do the multiples of 4 up here, and sometimes this is a common mistake, the multiples of 4 are 2 and 4, and the multiples of 8 are 2 and 4 and 8, and the largest one that they share is 4. So now we're going to try that step again, and we're going to say what we do in the numerator, we do in the denominator. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2, and that is its simplest form. Also, we're going to change any improper fraction into a mixed number. Remember, an improper fraction is when the numerator is larger than the denominator. That is an improper fraction. Because we have proper fractions, and then we have improper, or we have mixed numbers. So if you have an improper fraction, you are expected to change it into mixed numbers. How do we do that? Remember, you either multiply or divide. But if it's an improper fraction, you're going to divide. So 4 is my divisor. 8 goes into the dividend. How many groups of 4 can I get out of 8? 2. That was the divide. Multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. There is nothing to subtract or bring down. So my mixed number, 4/8, is the same as the whole number 2. Okay, let's do some practice. Now, when I'm looking at fractions like this says 1 minus 4/7. Okay, if my denominator is 7, then I'm going to change this number right here to 7ths. Now, if it's a whole number and it represents 1, how many pieces is it going to be cut into? Well, it's going to be 7. And if it's a full piece, then it's 7/7. So 1 is equivalent to 7/7. So I know my denominator is going to be 7. My numerator, 7 minus 4 is 3. So 1 whole number minus 4/7 is 3/7. Now remember, you have to change it into fractions if you're going to subtract fractions. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the next one. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to change, if they're mixed numbers, I like to change them both into improper fractions. So, remember how we did that? We multiply. Denominator, well, let's go ahead and stack it on top of each other. 2 and 2/3 minus 1 and 1/3. So 2 and 2/3 to an improper fraction. Denominator times the whole number. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, so 8/3. And denominator, 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4, 4/3. Now I can do the operation. My denominator is going to be 3. 8/3 minus 4/3 is 4/3. Now, 4/3 is an improper fraction, and we want to change it to a mixed number. Remember how we do that? We divide. So, 3 is my divisor, 4 is my dividend. How many groups of 3 can I get out of 4? 1. That becomes my whole number. 1 times 3 is 3, and I subtract. My remainder is now my numerator. So 1, and my divisor is my denominator. So 4/3 is equal to 1 and 1/3. And that's the answer to that one. All right, let's look at the next one. Move it on up. And pause at each point if you want to go ahead and copy this down. All right, these are both already in mixed form. So 13 30-seconds plus 9 30-seconds. I do not change the denominator. It's 32nd. I add the numerators together. So 13 plus 9 is 22. So our answer is 22 30-seconds. Now I already know that since this ends in an even number, that I probably can reduce this down. So when I think about the multiples of 22, I know 2 and 11. When I think about the multiples of 32, there's lots of them. There's 2, there's 4, there's 8, there's 16, and I think that's it. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Well, the largest number that they both share is 2. So 22 30-seconds divided by 2 in the numerator, 2 in the denominator. 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 32 divided by 2 is 16. So in simplest form, 22 30-seconds is equivalent to 11/16. Okay, let's look at example number 4. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is line them up. So we've got 7 and 3/5 plus 4 and 4/5. Okay, I'm going to change them from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Remember? So multiply. Denominator times the whole number. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 3 is 38 fifths. And 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24 fifths. And we're adding them up. So 5 is going to be my denominator. So I've got 38 plus 24 is 12, is 62 fifths. Now, we can't leave it in this form. Remember, now we take it back to the mixed number, and we do that by dividing. So, 5 becomes my divisor. 62 is my dividend. How many groups of 5 can I get out of 6? 1. I put it in the quotient and multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. I subtract. I bring down the 2. How many groups of 5 can I get out of 12? 2. I put it in the quotient. I multiply it out. 2 times 5 is 10. I subtract. That number becomes my numerator. Remember, my divisor is my denominator. So my answer is 12 in the whole number and 2 fifths. Okay, guys, during the lesson, you need to refer back to your notes to help you. Okay? So today's lesson is about adding and subtracting fractions that have like or the same denominators. See you later.